Hello and welcome. My name is Nicole Nina. I am the owner and founder of Mindful Mountains, a psychotherapy practice specializing in mental health services for working professionals as well as parents. This video is intended to give you some additional information about me, about how I work, so that you can decide if we might be a good fit for each other. For me to potentially be your individual therapist, couples therapist, or family therapist. So to begin with a bit about me, I have worked in corporate America, in legal settings, in government settings, in school settings, and in nonprofit settings. This experience has provided me a lot of insights into how working professionals need support and what interventions I could provide to give them that. So a question I get asked a lot is, what modality of treatment do you use for your clients? And I use a variety of interventions with my clients. Primarily, I say that I'm a trauma-informed therapist because a lot of my clinical training and experience has been linked to making sure that we aren't triggering somebody when we're doing the clinical work that we're doing. Other modalities that I've been trained in include cognitive behavioral therapy, narrative therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, as well as a bunch of others. I use whatever modality I think is going to work for you. I generally tell people, moving on to how I help you, when they ask, how do you help? How do you solve this problem for me? That I use two primary approaches. First one is that we identify what your symptoms are and what's presenting for you, and then we figure out what a trigger might be for that. When we figure out what we can do to help solve your immediate symptoms, we generally call those things coping skills. I aim to give somebody coping skills at the end of every single session for them to try out. People want things that they can act on right away. They don't want to wait to get answers for the thing that's bothering them. So at the end of every session I do with people, I also send them out a typed up note that gives them pretty detailed communication of what we talked about in their session in case it's hard to remember. The second thing I do for people is that I work for them to identify what is the root cause of the things that we're talking about in our session. So again, this looks different for everyone. This could look like us diving into what your childhood looked like, us diving into what your past relationships look like, or patterns that have emerged in your life. I believe that when we identify the root cause of something, we can kind of squash this completely. And then you can have things in your tool belt to use moving forward and graduate therapy altogether. An important question that I encourage clients to ask potential therapists is kind of what they specialize in. You don't have to see a therapist that specializes in the exact thing that you're worried about, but it could be helpful. So some areas that I tend to specialize in, one is anxiety. A lot of my clients that are working in corporate America or who are working demanding jobs, who are parents, who have lived through a global pandemic, you name it, sometimes we get overly worried, and that can look like anxiety. Another area that I specialize in is the treatment of ADHD. This is an area that I have some lived experience in, and an area that is really underserved for adults in particular that have ADHD. I also work with clients concerning depression, concerning thought disorders such as OCD, eating disorders, and really whatever my clients bring me. I have a master's degree in political science as well as social work, and one of the things that people like to process with me sometimes is politics. So the past few years regarding politics have been messy, to say the least, and some of my clients find having a neutral party to process some of that with is helpful. If I'm not mentioning anything that you're worried about, or maybe you don't know what exactly is your diagnosis or what exactly is bringing you to therapy, that's okay. And we can work towards finding out what that is. If you don't feel like maybe we would be a good fit, I also encourage people to reach out for a referral, as I do have people that I can refer for any specialization that I don't feel comfortable working with. So I hope this answers some questions about who I am, how I talk, what my background is like, and what a session with me might look like. I'll have some information below that has my website where you can read more about me. You can read some of the things that I have published or that I wrote about in my blog, and some FAQs, as well as some contact information if you would like to give me a call or email me to set up an intake appointment. Thank you.